Hello and welcome to another beautiful day. This is the desk reaching you live and direct from Global Television in Abuja, Nigeria. So many things happening, and we will be looking at a few of the issues, especially matters arising from the national dailies of today. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. And of course, we will be looking at the controversy rocking the People's Democratic Party. And of course, don't forget that despite the warning from the Nigeria Police Force, the protesters, the release Nnamdi Kanu protesters, still try to go on with the protest, trying to find their way even to the Aso Rock, the seat of power. Then apart from that, we'll also look at some issues from the National Assembly. Akpabio and Abbas have been called upon. Accountability is very key as far as office holding is concerned. If you're in governance, not even in governance, whatever it is you're doing, if you are not accountable, it means, well, something is wrong somewhere. Serap is calling Akpabio and, of course, the Speaker of the House of Representatives to order, as it has to do with a very huge amount of money. All the details will be coming on your way as we go on with the desk this beautiful afternoon. Don't also forget that, as a matter of fact, so many people are of the opinion that, well, if 2027 must be anything to go about, then the defection has to be looked into. And a statement that has come from the new APC chairman. But then, now some people will tell you categorically that there is no opposition as far as APC is concerned. Just behind closed door, someone had made a statement that it's as if the All Progressive Congress is going to have just a smooth sail into the election in 2027. But ADC will differ in opinion, as a matter of fact, and they've made a lot of statements that whether governors are defecting or not, it can't just be easy for APC in 2027. All of this will form basis for our conversation today. I have two great men joining me on the conversation, and I will be introducing them to you after this break. Stay with us. Joining me on the conversation right here on the desk is Uyi Agbomofuebe. It's good to have you join us on the desk this evening.
Thank you so very much, Ramsey.
Thank you for joining us. I shouldn't be asking you about the protest because if they see you there, it means maybe you're there to cover the protest, or would you have been on the street protesting today?
Well, my process is my work here at Global Television.
Of course. Many thanks for joining us on the
I'm delighted, Ramsey.
All right. Not just we alone. I also have another gentleman joining us on the conversation today in the person of Topsy Gimba. It's good to have you join us, Topsy.
It's a pleasure being with you, Ramsey. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You're welcome. I wanted to say I sympathize with your condition this morning. How you find it very difficult to get to work because of the protest. So how was the experience like?
Yeah, it was so tough. You can imagine this Maraba AY road. Ordinarily, on ordinary days, you find it very hard to access the road. You can imagine when there will be protests and security personnel are all over the place, controlling people, vehicles. You can imagine how commuters pass through this morning. I don't know whether it's still on to this afternoon, honestly, but I didn't find it funny at a point. I regretted to have come out, but I needed to be here so that I should be seen.
You needed to be here because it's so good that you made your way. These are some of the things that we go through. Sometimes you find it very difficult, but then you don't have any choice. We'll talk about the protest much later, because the news filtering in has it that there are attempts to get to the State House, which is one of the places that they were asked never to get close to, not even to get into. But then, let's begin with the People's Democratic Party's crisis that is getting deepened by the day. And funny enough, the crisis is within. Someone made a statement, someone said, well, even if there is a problem of forgery, why not settle it inside, inwards, if you really believe in the party, but then other people will still differ in opinion. Now talking about the convention, PDP crisis is deepening as Anyanwu is alleging forgery. And of course, he didn't stop there. He has gone ahead to petition the DSS. The crisis is now rocking the People's Democratic Party, which all of you are aware of, and it has taken a new twist right now as we speak. The party's national secretary in the person of Senator Samuel Anyanwu has petitioned the Department of State Services. He's not alone in the petition. Also, the Inspector General of Police and the Independent National Electoral Commission. Why is he petitioning them? The petition is because he's alleging a forgery of his signature. And as a matter of fact, he is, I want us to get this right, he is the National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. And that's the reason some persons are saying, even if there is a problem, because already, if you want to call party problem, if you say party problem in Nigeria right now, everybody's mind goes to the People's Democratic Party. But then, it is so amazing that he's alleging that his signature has been forged, and is petitioning the DSS, the Inspector General of Police, and of course the Independent National Electoral Commission. So probably on assuming office by Amopitan, this is going to come to his table. What is happening? The forgery. This is actually a development that further threatens the conduct of the party's planned national convention that is supposed to happen in Ibadan. Right, that should be in November, around November here. Now, as it is, what do you think? Because this forgery that he's complaining about now, is this something, is there a better way that this issue would have been addressed? Because we're really going to talk extensively about the crisis in the People's Democratic Party today. Why are Nigerians concerned? Because every political dispensation, every administration in power need a political party to give them a run for their money. But that is what Nigerians are starving of. But this thing is supposed to be taken beyond just mere talk. But looking at this crisis, the headline say on the paper, I said deepen, meaning there was a crisis, but it's deepening, it's getting deeper. What do you think about this allegation?
Well, thank you so much, Ramsey, for the opportunity once again. Really, when I went through the dailies and I saw this caption on some of the papers, I was like taken aback. I read into it to really find out if it was some other persons who are really talking about that. But unfortunately, I noticed happens to be a very top notch of the political party. It said as PDP, the secretary, national secretary, to say that his signature was forged. I was like, the camera is passing through the eye of the needle. Which would have been, that's the way I see it. Otherwise, you know, a matter like that, if you are so committed, if somebody is not a fifth columnist planted in the system to work to destroy, and that means he wouldn't have done what he is saying. And because political parties are gradually fighting, that implosion within the party indicates that there are people who are within the system or within that political party or those political parties who are either working to destabilize those political parties. And sometimes they can make their headway to become leaders. Do you get what I mean? Is that like Joseph in the Bible, who was like a slave, eventually becoming Minister of Agriculture in Egypt? You know, finding himself, meanwhile he knew that he was an Egyptian, but eventually he found himself into the system, you know, that kind of thing. He rose up to become a very big man, that even people from other countries We are even paying visit to buy crops from him or food produce from him. It's exactly the same thing. When somebody is planting in the system, meanwhile he knows that it's not working for the interest of that which he's serving for, you will not begin to see this. Other, what is the essence? If they are determined to work to see how best they are going to be a very strong opposition, the National Secretary will have come up with this allegation to an extent that he's writing DSS, AG, it shows that something is wrong fundamentally in the system.
But then, don't you think all of this is in an attempt to protect his integrity? Because no one knows the extent to which this forgery is going to go, because there is a letter that he said the signature on that letter, on that document, is being forged, meaning originally he didn't sign it. That's what he's alleging right now. Apart from the safety of the party, all right, the good health of the party, let me just refer to the party as like it's a living thing now. Apart from the good health, the health of the party, what about the integrity of Senator Anyanwu himself? Don't you think that may have prompted him, contrary to what Gimba just said?
Okay, first of all, Ramsey, again, it's a pleasure to be here. I think it's very important that we establish that this didn't start today. The PDP has had its own crisis for quite a long time. Yes, people have blamed it on FCT Minister Wike. Others have said it was former Vice President Atiku Abubakar who was the albatross. Of course, the former Vice President has left the party. Wike is neither here nor there as far as PDP is concerned. So, the PDP, let's be very categorical, has not recovered from its own crisis. Whatever the PDP has now is like putting band-aid on a sore that has not been treated. Whatever that means. That's where the party is as it stands today as a political entity. Therefore, whatever Anyanwu is alleging now, I say alleging because we have not verified whatever claims he is putting forward, right? Whatever is alleging now is an offshoot of the crisis the PDP has been entrenched in the entire time. Recall that not too long ago, it was Anyanwu versus a certain Mr. Ude over the issue of who was the national secretary of the party. We saw how nasty that fight became at a point. In fact, that fight further deepened the crisis between the Wike faction and the Atiku faction as we had them at that time. Today, he's the de facto national secretary of the party. But then it will appear we don't have closure, the party has not found closure regarding its own internal crisis the entire time. So this issue of allegation regarding his signature being forged is something that the party has to address as quickly as possible. Because whether you like it or not, nobody wants to be impersonated, especially at this level. I mean, for you to be the national secretary of a party like the PDP, it is no mean feat. Therefore, you want to be careful exactly where your name goes to, where your signature is found. However, we need to also take a breather and ask ourselves, is this not again a political move, or is it quite frankly an honest allegation being made by Sam Dadi, as is popularly called in the political circles? So, long and short of the story for me is that this is just one of many indicators of the problem that the PDP is grappling with.
So, with what is happening in PDP right now, do you see that convention really holding in November? Because this is, well, why in October? November is just around the corner. So, do you see
party? So if we want to have this conversation from that standpoint, evidently that convention has already planned for sometime in November.
Well, I think that's a very valid point because whether or not the convention will hold depends on if another court injunction is coming from a superior court. But now, looking at the time frame, you were trying to establish a particular fact, looking at the time frame and of course this crisis, what do you think? You were trying to drop some points.
All right. In all, beyond this instant issue of allegation being advanced by Mr. I should say, Ayaw, I should say, the fact of the matter is the PDP needs redemption, right? Up until now, the PDP had been regarded as by many as the frontline opposition party in Nigeria. Whether that's still the case or not remains to be seen. In fact, people look at the PDP today and they conclude that there is no opposition in Nigeria, and that's not something to be proud of. So it means that beyond the IAO case, Nigeria will have to, PDP will have to deal with whether or not they are ready to play opposition as far as Nigeria is concerned, and in so much so as it has to do with the 2027 general election. In all, time shouldn't be much of the concern to the PDP right now. It should be more of the structures, how these structures have been bastardized, how these structures have been abused by those who are supposed to provide forward-looking leadership for what was once Nigeria's ruling party until 2015, when, of course, they lost the presidential election. Again, PDP now needs leaders who love the party, leaders who want to see forward-looking leadership, leaders who are passionate about a Nigeria that delivers the goods for its people. Otherwise, the PDP is just going to be a redundant regular party that is only interested in winning elections. The PDP needs more than a strategy to win elections now. The PDP needs to form a common front. As it sounds today, Ramsey, we don't have to be members of the party to know that. The PDP does not have a common front. It's pretty much like a bunch of interests in different directions, pretending, again, I say pretending, to have a common front. They don't have that. So the question is, what has happened to all of those powerful, if you like, influential individuals who have left the party? How do you get them back? Let's not buy into these razzmatazz and damage control mechanism that the PDP has adopted by telling us that the party is not moved by those who have left the party. As a matter of fact, those who have left the party have been the problems of the party. That's not true, because these were the same people, for the most part, who were the financial backbone of this political party. So let's not, this is the time to be scientific, not emotional. So the PDP must ask itself, what has happened to if you like, our base, all right? What has happened to our leadership structure? I know what has happened to it. Nigerians know what has happened to it. It has been depleted. And what do you do when a system, when a structure has been depleted? You find a way to get it back together. So the PDP will have to do a lot of re-engineering to be able to get itself back, especially seeing that the immediate test in front of it is not even this next three rounds of off-grid elections. It will be the 2027 election. So the PDP must now work hard enough, night and day, roll up its sleeves to ensure that it becomes vibrant and robust as the opposition party. Otherwise, what is going to happen in 2027 will be a referendum in favor of the APC.
Well, that's a big, there's a name I wanted to call this. Well, the hammer has been hit on the nail right now. But then, before we move from the issue of the People's Democratic Party, Gimba, as it is right now, there is a division in the People's Democratic Party. But like we said, they will always tell you the problem has been resolved. And some persons are speculating that it appears as if some persons have been planted in the party to destabilize the party. But then, no one is crying foul to that. No one is saying anything. Just the FCT minister that some persons are saying, we don't really know where you belong. And he said, well, just give me a little time. I'm going to announce to you publicly the party that I belong to. Looking at the People's Democratic Party right now, the PDP, with what is happening right now, what is your rating of the People's Democratic Party based on your perception?
Well, thank you again, Ramsey. I see PDP as an injured political party nationally.
Injured
politically. Is working like a wounded lion, that possibly, if not lost, is likely going to perish. But again, we are just at the trajectory of movement to determine whether or not how election will be in 2027. We still have little of this enough time. I equally know that as much as people are leaving various political parties to join the ruling party, it will become so big that there will be an implosion. Implosion in the sense, within the APC, there will be implosion because interest upon interest will be fighting against themselves. Those who wanted to become what will not get, and they will become what they want to become by fighting, and that will make the party again become like something we will be thinking of, which I believe is going to happen going forward. And so as it is now, PDP must be on a messianic journey, looking for a savior to either stay afloat, or if it does not do that, it's likely going to be consumed, looking at the waves of defections we are seeing within the party. That shows that indeed something is wrong fundamentally within the system. And if it does occur continually like the way it's indicating, it's very clear that there might not be PDP in the near future. You can only wait. The only option, that's option B, waiting for the inclusion of APC towards election. Well, those who are moving from either PDP or any other political party to become members of APC, they are going in that they want to continue either as governors, sitting governors, or whatever, assuming they go there and the contest becomes so hot that at the end of the day they lose out, again crisis will set in. And so we still wait for that moment, which I believe is going to actually come. Don't forget that PDP at one time was like that. But because it was so big at a point, implosion occurred. And then there was this absolute eruption in the system that everybody went on his own way until we have it today, until even lost power, being at the center. And so since then, it's been wobbling like a puncture tire, sort of.
Okay, I think the only brother that the PDP have right now is ADC. Permit me to say that's the brother that they have now, because they seems to be running the same course. More so that some people from the People's Democratic Party are now in ADC. As it is right now, in one of the papers today, there is this headline that a lot of people are reacting to, which says 2027. No amount of defection will save APC, says ADC. Now, the African Democratic Congress, that is the ADC, has said the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, has become unpopular among Nigerians, noting that the growing defections into the ruling party will not guarantee its victory in 2027. The coalition, now referring to ADC, was actually reacting to a comment credited to the APC national chairman, talking about Dr. Nentawaya Yewada, Yewada. That's the person that did some statement, that made a statement. And his statement says key ADC figures will join the ruling party next week. That is where that statement came from. So as it is right now, they said, well, if they like, this is all about strategy. As a matter of fact, it is all about politics. They said it is all about strategy. But now, with this statement and what ADC is saying saying openly that no amount of defection will save APC in 2027. What do you think? Are you of the same school of thought?
I don't share this school of thought with ADC because ADC cannot manufacture human beings to participate in election during December. Looking at the party as it is now, it's a small party as a matter of fact. It's only that we have these key individuals who at one point play a very big role, either in PDP or some other political party, that have found themselves as members of the coalition to join APC. But then there are very few. And don't forget that election is by counting. As few as they are, and they don't have the votes, and that means it cannot go anywhere. Because it's not by noise making. An individual can make noise, But then that's not the strength of the party, as a matter of fact. So there's a lot of work left to be undone by ADC. And so I will agree partially with what the national chairman of APC is saying, that at the end of the day, they will be smoked out from the APC, wherever they are, from the ADC, so to speak. They will be smoked out, and very soon they will be running out from that particular hole to come back to the ruling party. That's the way it's going to be. But anyway, politics is highly dynamic. Nobody knows basically what is put on the table.
I think now you're saying it, because remember what happened in 2023, all right, to the 2023 election, where everybody said, well, Labour Party has no structure, if not because of Peter Obi, who knew Labour Party and all of that. Though Peter Obi is a man of integrity and reputation,
yes,
based on his antecedents compared to the people that we have in the ADC right now.
Sure.
But don't you think anything can happen, just like the way APC was given a run? Did you even agree that APC was given a run by Labour Party in the 2023 election? And if the same thing can still happen with ADC in 2027?
The path is not the same. The way ADC is going is not the way Labour Party went when it was campaigning for 2023. There was this passion within for Nigerians, the need to really change government because we have just emerged from the cocoons of the dark government, torturous government of Buhari, and everybody felt it. Everybody knew that there was a need to change, and that was why somebody like Peter Obi came out and indicated interest to run. People followed him, obviously, but things are not the same now. If you check what this government is really doing, might not be compared to how it was when Peter actually stood in to become the president of the country. Then we have saw a remarkable, substantial votes allocated for him, because we are coming from the background of Buhari, which everybody in Nigeria knew how we suffered. Don't forget that was this nearly designed. Many people die as a result. Food, produce were not found, even though you might see it, but you have no money to buy. And so it became a tool for any other political party to become successful at the end of the day. And that was exactly what really happened. Now things are gradually taking shape. And it might not be completely say like the way it was set when Peter Obi came in. And so it's going to be a very tough fight. Either ADC, whatever name it is called, it's going to be a very big challenge to be able to take power from this administration. What am I saying? So the individuals, the key appointments we are beginning to see is a clear manifestation that is going to be a very Herculean task, an avalanche journey for any other political party.
Apart from APC.
Apart from it. I'm talking about APC party itself. The appointment they are making, they are well guided. There is a way of putting themselves in order. The blocks are falling in between themselves rightly.
Which appointment are you talking about?
Is it not to talk about the INEC chairman?
Just hold it there. Just hold it there.
I don't know.
I wanted to be sure. I wanted, because when you say appointment, and we're talking about...
you must say appointments.
Appointments. Okay, you just mentioned one out of the numerous appointments.
Yes.
All right. Now, from what Gimba has said, 2027 is so dicey, but some persons are saying, well, there is nothing dicey there. But it is all about strategy. And that's the reason we will always refer to the acclaimed structureless Labour Party that actually became automatically structured on the day of the election in 2023. And we all saw what happened, and the whole of allegations and the go to court and people that went to court and what happened at the end of the day. Now, ADC, there is something about ADC that I want us to just get an understanding of. The caliber of people in ADC. These are people that were in PDP, some even in APC, all right? So these are people that have played the same chess, the same kind of chess with some of the now members of the ruling party, but now in ADC that may know one or two traits and develop on for 2027. And some people have come to say, well, defection or no defection, we don't care. People are defecting from PDP, and you are now coming to say, well, in the next week, we'll still see some people defecting from ADC to APC as a national chairman. That defection or no defection, this neck of the snake must be cut in 2027. As a matter of fact, this is coming from ADC. What's your perspective? What do you think about that statement, looking at the background that I've given?
I want to talk about how that what we saw in 2022 going into 2023 could be a model for the ADC. Apparently, they're making reference to the Peter Obi factor. Let's look at those prominent persons you talked about. I mean, you alluded to within the ADC. Maybe we'll start from the very top. You want to look at, say, someone like former Governor Rotimi Amaechi of Rivers State. What's his base politically? What's his political value as it stands today, with all due respect? These are facts on the ground. How popular is he in Rivers State, for starters? And then you go to the South as a region of 6 states. How popular is he? How popular has he been in the APC up until the time when he left, whether formally or informally, right? And then you move to David Mark, former Senate President, the longest serving Senate President since 1999, when we returned to democracy, being the Fourth Republic. How popular is he in Otukpo, in Benue State, or in North Central Nigeria? Yes, he has clout, they say, but how much of that clout does he have, and how much of it can he bring into the conversation within the framework of the 2027 general election? And then you move on to Rauf Aregbesola, former governor of Osun State, who later became Minister of Interior. In Osun State, they say that he's now a lightweight or paperweight politician, given the circumstances surrounding how he left the APC, of course, on account of his relationship that went frosty with former candidates, now president of the Republic of Nigeria, talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. All right? Who am I going to mention? Is he Abdullahi Bolaji, the spokesperson of the ADC?
El-Rufai.
In all of this, El-Rufai is more, one leg ADC, maybe 1.5 leg in SDP, half in ADC. So I don't even want to put El-Rufai within these brackets. And then that's on the one hand. And then you want to juxtapose that with the Peter Obi factor in the Labour Party and how he moved overnight, so to speak, into the Labour Party. Look at the endorsement that Peter Obi was already getting long before he even thought about moving into the Labour Party. But the point that, you go back to social media, as they say, social media does not forget. See the endorsements that I even got from people like Reno Omokri, for example, who has now become his, I don't want to say his worst political foe or something. But we are saying all of this to say that there's the Peter Obi factor. But what is the Amaechi factor? What is the David Mark factor? What is the Rauf Aregbesola factor? Do they have the same base that Peter Obi has? Up until this minute, we hear the obedience people say that anywhere Peter Obi goes, they go. But who is saying that about this other gentleman in the ADC? So it's not enough to want to cite the Peter Obi as a factor, as a reference. The question is, do you have that same magic working for the ADC? The ADC must do a lot of work to show to Nigeria that it is not a party or a contraption, a political contraption of people who feel disgruntled about the APC or the person of the president. It has to go beyond that. There must be the element of patriotism. We must see their actions, their moves being altruistic in every sense of the word. It must be nationalistic in principle and in practice, beyond being disgruntled in the APC and then you decide to go start something called the ADC. I'm also curious, why is former governor of Kaduna State, Nasiru El-Rufai, not neck deep in the APC initiative? Why is he not all the way in? Why is he not showing 100% commitment if he so believes in it? So the motivation ultimately, Ramsey, should not be about the drive to want to unseat President Tinubu. It should be about what exactly is wrong with Nigeria as it stands today across sectors. What are the alternatives the ADC is proposing already, not in 2027, already? Let's have that debate. As it stands today, take it or leave it. The APC has so much to show compared to the ADC. What is the ADC going to bring? Because we're talking about competitive advantage here. What is the ADC going to compete with compared to the APC that has been in office, been in power for 2 years and counting? So these are the issues we must, beyond the emotions and sentiments. I think Nigeria is fast evolving politically to the point that you cannot just be appealing to people's emotions without being scientific and putting the facts, concrete facts and evidence in front of them.
But then the issue of defection, all right, because what actually informed the whole of this statement is this statement coming from the national chairman that even from ADC, for people don't even talk about defection of governors from PDP to APC anymore because they feel, well, there is no governor left in PDP as they claim now. So now ICE is on ADC, not even governor this time, that people will be defecting from ADC to APC. And of course, that was what actually brought this statement. Then the People's Democratic Party, which is the twin brother or sister of the ADC, also made a statement, all right, that people, all right, governors especially, they were specific, somehow, I don't want to use the word paid, but the People's Democratic Party members are not feeling cool with the defection of some of their big names, all right, to the All Progressive Congress. And they've made a statement saying every governor that has abandoned the party that gave them platform and brought them to limelight will soon regret. What do you think about that?
All right, I don't know how they mean regret. I don't know whether that statement came from the urge, the desire to want to save face as a political party, or whether it was a way of saying that, hey, look, we are the People's Democratic Party, our brand is so established to have structures that will help sort of punish those who have abused the platforms that gave them the leverage, all right, to get into office, whether as federal legislators or as serving governors. But in all of this, the PDP needs to do more than rhetorics, all right? The PDP needs to do way beyond that. The PDP now needs to move into action. The PDP now needs to rework its own leadership mechanism in such a way that it can reinvent itself, restructure itself, and show to voters and indeed Nigerians at large that it can do better than it's doing today. The PDP's approach to opposition, first of all, is weak, needs some bites, and then the PDP's ability to rebrand itself, whatever that means, already is being questionable, because whether you like it or not, you can't play the opposition on the basis of sentiment, all right? It's going to be a lot of work. And for a PDP, let's be careful, that has been in leadership, being the ruling party for 16 years, what it has shown to us essentially is that it has spent the last 1 decade learning, understanding how to play opposition. And as of today, the PDP has not graduated.
All right. The PDP have not graduated. They are still learning on how opposition is being played. But then the People's Democratic Party just yesterday said governors and others who were abandoning the platform that actually brought them to power would soon regret their actions. PDP actually accused governors defecting from the party that, something is going to happen very soon. And they said defecting from its fold to the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, is as a result of one, greed, they said selfishness, and of course insisting that Nigerians, as a matter of fact, would ultimately decide the fate of these governors and these individuals in the 2027 general election. What do you think? Is that as a result of greed, selfishness, or whatever gain they want to get? Because someone made a statement, Gimba, the person said, what exactly are they promising these governors that they are defecting en masse like this? And not just the defection, they are not defecting alone. They will tell you, well, if you are in my cabinet, if you are in my administration, if I'm defecting, you got to defect with me or else. Alele, pack your bag and go.
Well, of course, Ramsey, for the fact that the leadership of the ADC said those who are defected to join APC, they will soon regret. As much as I know, this is not the first wave of defection we're noticing. It's been happening for a very long time, not just at this administration. We saw that happening even when PDP was in power. At the end of the day, somebody writes on a political party to either become a senator or member House of Representatives, or either becoming a governor, and at a point he feels as leaving the political party that brought him to power. We saw that previously, and we're still seeing it, and we're likely to be seeing it going forward. There is no law that has been amended in Nigeria that when you defect, you give back the property to the party that you costed to power. It has not been effective. So when they made that statement, I began to imagine whether the person saying it was just using the constitutional approach of the political party they belong to. But at the national level, based on the Nigerian constitution, with the way I know, nobody has ever defected, either before, not now, has ever been punished in any way, except maybe, they are only saying maybe the party might likely resurrect and they build a new life, become so glorified that at the end of the day, it wouldn't be like the way PDP is now. There will be a new political party that's still PDP, and maybe people will not be rushing into it, and then those who left will be regretting. Maybe that's what they're really saying. But in terms of the application of law, crossing T and the I's, there's just nothing the law has said about that. People have been defecting, and they will move completely without any challenge. He now moves, joins the new political party he wants to join, and he even campaign to become whatever he wants to become in that new political party. Nobody says anything. So I'm still looking at the template at which ADC is going to use to making sure that they regret over their actions. Again, some of these people that are leaving, including governors, some of them, maybe, during Obasanjo, when he was in government, those who were antagonizing him, meanwhile serving with him, he will just carry one thought that you need. Maybe you have embezzled money in some other way and nobody knows about it. You just carry that paper and say, if you don't stop making noise or follow me, I will show you this. Maybe that's exactly what they are really saying at the end of the day. But as it is, virtually there's nothing. And I feel these are some of the issues. Some of these governors are leaving in droves to join the political, because in one way or the other they are faulty financially in terms of misappropriation of the money given to them. And so maybe they have talked to them secretly, and then they are leaving, and then they paint the picture publicly that actually something is wrong with the party in which they belong. Now they are joining APC to find their ground. But
meanwhile, is that good for our democracy? Is that a good one for our democracy?
It's not healthy enough. It's not healthy enough. Again, we don't have, the way it is happening, we might not have any strong opposition going forward. We might not have, obviously. And when there's no opposition, that means the party, the government at the moment, or that particular time, will be so dictatorial in nature, because nobody says no to whatever the leader is saying. And that's the fear we have. We're likely to become like Cameroon, where Paul Biya sits there forever, but nobody has the power to say no to him.
That's more like one party system.
Yes, a monarchical system of government.
Yes, but then, what is the implication of this defection for our democracy? Especially, when we talk, if you and I are conversing about things happening in the polity,
right.
First of all, we put the average Nigerians first, because everything boils down to the average Nigerian. Now, what is the implication of this defection? Whether or not it's for selfish reason, whether it's to cover up something or not, whether it's going to result to one party system, whatever it is. What are the implications as it has to do with our democracy?
Quite frankly, I agree with those who say our democracy is still evolving, because we've been here for just, 26 years and counting, right? But again, we need to be clear about how we do that evaluation, that assessment, right? Are the outcomes we have today, whether you're using the quality of political leaders we have produced, or the process that produces these leaders as a yardstick, right? We need to look at that, especially again, doing that evaluation against the backdrop of the fact that we are told this brand of democracy was borrowed from the Americans, the United States. We need to look at that, because in 2025, one would have thought we are done with this rascality that we have found within political parties. We need to cycle back to the fundamentals, Ramsey. If we can't get it right within the internal system of political parties, it will be naive, it will be hypocritical to expect that political process generally will be decent, will be subjected or subject to best practices. So it's even going to determine what best practices are in the first instance. That's very important, because you see, I was just talking with a colleague a while ago at about lunchtime today. The focus was on how is it that we still have not asked ourselves with a sense of purpose and sincerity, how that every time we conduct election, almost every other time, it almost always ends up in courts. How is it that you have an umpire? I mean, that's quite a debilitating irony, that you have an umpire like the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. If you have an umpire, Ramsey, it's common sense. It just means that umpire determines who has won and who has lost. All right? It means at that point you have closure. However, the dramatic irony about our process is that if Gimba and I contest to be, let's say we contest a senatorial seat, for example, we already know that whoever wins will say the process was free, fair, and credible. The other person will say, no, it was rigged against them. Therefore, they are going to court. And of course, as usual, you find lawyers coming to whisper in their ear to say, look, you have a good case, you have to go to court, and blah, 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 blah. Like somebody said a few days ago, I mean, just this weekend, that it's a shame that in Nigeria, in the state, for example, you would have close to 1 million people, at least 500,000 people, cast their votes for a particular candidate, or go to the polls to cast their votes for their preferred candidates. And then in the final analysis, it is a panel of 3 or 4 or 5 persons that will now determine who won that election. I think we shouldn't go to bed until we find a practical answer to this question.
We shouldn't go to bed until we find a practical answer to all of these questions. As it is right now, I don't know, but then let me get to Gimba once more. 2027 is very dicey. This defection that is happening right now, all right, whether you like it or not, APC have the highest number of governors, even at the National Assembly. You cover the National Assembly, of course. Yeah. Now, how do you think, all right, this level of defection, would it have any, because this is Nigeria, of course, and most of the things happening right now, like they said, politics is a game. Politics, a game of number, like they used to say. You talk about the popularity of people in ADC, how they may not have that number, even we made mention of it, and he was talking about the difference between the people in ADC and the person in the Labour Party. Now, looking at all of this, come 2027, some people are already giving it to the All Progressive Congress. What about you?
Yeah, sure. Naturally, man by nature is highly insatiable. The insatiability of a human being is always there. Why am I saying this? Because man identifies with only success. Nobody identifies with a loser. As it is, the party that stands now in Nigeria, that is well known in Nigeria, is APC. If you want to eat, that's where you're supposed to belong. Not necessarily that you believe in the ideology of the political party, but because man by nature believes in success, and so even if PDP or ADC, whatever, were to be good political parties, but for the fact that they are not in government, there's just no way you find people talking about that or about them, so to speak. And so we are going to learn that is a very serious fight going forward. But again, there is a very clean slate that can be seen dangling in the air, basically for APC, in the sense that the waves, or the droves of defections we are seeing today is a clear indication that indeed all is good for the party to coast to victory in 2027, if not for any other political game that will actually happen at the end of the day. So I feel a lot of what needs to be done by these opposition political parties. Otherwise, it's going to be like, a smooth sail for APC to have its way completely, almost unhindered in 2027.
All right, well, we're rounding up, but then, as a matter of fact, Akpabio and Abbas are being dragged by Serap, saying they should account for the 18.6 billion naira NAS fund. As a matter of fact, dragging people in power in this country is very difficult. But do you see Serap finding their way through this?
They might not. They might not. Don't forget that they want to stay afloat. And so they dig into the archives, bring out facts, and expose those facts for Nigeria to know. They want to leave. But not necessarily for the fact that I mentioned this enormous amount of money, you will assume at the end of the day they will find fault with some persons. It might not happen like that completely. Look at the committee, that's Public Account Committee, that was almost saying that over 210 trillion naira in the past for 2023 to now have been expended by NNPC without any accountability. That was the statement given by the Auditor General of the Federation. Until today, we are beginning to see a new song being sung by the chairman of PAC that already they set questions. They set basic questions for the group executive manager of the NNPC to answer. 19 questions and he answer all of them. So we're only waiting by the time they have resumed. We're only waiting when the PAC will meet and they tell us basically what are those questions that demand answer that they feel the issue of 210 trillion naira has been resolved.
Trillion naira.
Yes.
We have problem with accountability in this country.
Fundamentally.
And of course, they shy away from accountability. In just 1 minute, what do you think is wrong right there? What's responsible for that?
It's a systemic link that has been broken, Ramsey. We have to fix that. But again, we have to, altogether, the leadership and the led must understand the social contract, which has not been the front burner conversation for a long time in Nigeria, right? You can't come ask for my votes. I give it to you. You become governor, you become a legislator, whether at the federal or state level, or you even become the president. And then when I ask you, hold on a second, we understand that, for example, in the state of governors, in the case of governors, you got, let's say, 12 billion as allocation for the month of September. How's that coming? What have we done with it? Do we have evidence of those? It becomes a problem, all right? We have not seen governors being accountable in the real sense of that word.
All right.
This one, and the same thing goes for, of course, the senators and members of House of Representatives.
All right. Well, let's just see if this will change with time. Thank you very much, Uye, for joining us on the desk.
It's my pleasure as always, Ramsey.
Thank you, Gimba, for being part of the desk this evening.
I appreciate it deeply.
As a matter of fact, this is going to be the size of the desk this evening because we can't exhaust everything that was on the papers today. Well, the desk returns again, and that's going to be on Wednesday. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Bye-bye for now.